And as we rightly told you, today, and most of the times on Wednesday, we have a special guest in the house, as usual. Today, we're privileged to have someone who's championed sports in the country for years. For me, I have a personal relationship with him, but then I'll put that aside. We'll talk more. Talking about His Royal Highness, he's Noya Manche. If we say Noya, it's development. So he's a developmental chief. Ni Kojo Asirifi Papanya the First, His Royal Highness. Most people know him as Mr. Ben Nunoo Mensah. He is the former Ghana Olympic Committee. No, he's not former yet because,
former.
I mean, he's still the Ghana Olympic Committee president until after the elections, which is coming up. He joins us in the studio today to talk about a lot of things. For him, he says he wants to keep it simple and short. He wants to say thank you to everybody. So he will say it himself, but then we need to talk about a few things also on the show as he joins us here. Great to have him in the studio. Mr. Nunoo Mensah, or His Royal Highness, I should put it that way. It's a privilege to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much, GHOne, and thank you, Monica. You're looking sweet.
Thank you. And you look dapper.
Yeah. I remember in 2010 or 2009, I was in South Africa, in Benoni with GHOne.
Yeah.
He looks so, looking at him now, he looks so young and so small there. And I can imagine, even at that time, he was one of our very good journalists around. So, GHOne, you've done well for yourself, and I'm happy that you're still in it, and at least you're making waves.
Sure,
good to have you. Yeah.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
So we now address him as His Royal Highness. Yes. It used to be Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben. Now, please, it's not Uncle Ben. His Royal Highness.
No, it's still Ben. I'm still Ben.
Fine. But Uncle Ben, His Royal Highness. Weeks ago, you released a statement that you are stepping down from being the Ghana Olympic president. And I was like, with all these achievements, why now? I remember I spoke to you. You told me it wasn't a good time to speak. Yeah. I think you took your time. And now is the perfect time to shoot, to let the viewers, the whole of Ghana, Africa, the world, know exactly what went into it, that you said, let me just step aside and let the others do the work. I've done enough. Why? What happened?
Okay, so, well, thanks, Monica. And yes, we did speak, and I was in a meeting when you called. But as to what went into making that decision, it's you take a lot of things into consideration. What is factual, what is real is that at a point in time, I will have to leave the GOC as its president. I would not be at the GOC forever, okay? And if at this material time, after 8 years, I feel within myself that this is the best time to leave, why not? Especially when you're getting blessings from your spiritual fathers, your family. You can always, or you can't be there forever. You always have to make way for others to also come and build on what you have started. So I think that it wasn't very difficult to make that decision. And yes, there were a lot of people who, when I mentioned to, were very disappointed, especially the National Federation presidents. And a lot of them would have wished that I stayed on for one more term. But what they couldn't convince me was that, okay, so why not now? If you say one more term, why 4 years? Why not now? And I told them I really feel within myself that this is the best time to move forward, And sometimes this is the way God speaks to us, So I had to move on. And it's not like I'm just moving on without something in mind to do. I'm really going to do something which I think is also equally more rewarding and, touch humanity more than I'm probably doing in sports. But I'll still be around. I'll be available for any advice. I'm still a sports person, and I'll always be a sports person. But getting actively doing sports stuff, especially at the GOC, I think that I want to now rise above GOC president and become Paul is like a statesman in sports. So
it's true. I mean, I'm having some nostalgic memories of,
Yeah.
I mean, our time together and everything.
Really teary.
But the point is, as you stepping down from that role as GOC president, also, one will be wondering the reins you're leaving. For you, would you say that there's somebody who a possible replacement to help Ghana in this stead? Because for me, I've been with you. We've been through a lot, especially with the Ghana Cricket Association, with the Ghana Weightlifting Association, the challenges they go through and what have you. Sometimes you need to go and get this money on loan before you come back. It will be reimbursed. It's not done and what have you. And you do this with your own resources and what have you. Uncle Ben, would you say that? Or His Royal Highness, would you say there's somebody who is a possible replacement who can do what you have been able to do all these 8 years?
Well, Joel, you see, there's so many national federation presidents, people who are professionals, people who are career, in their own career, people who are big administrators in their own right. There are so many who could easily step up to take up that responsibility. Yes, it takes something extra for you to be a leader and for others to see you as such. So you're not going to have like every national federation president who within themselves know that, yes, I can step up to this. That is a huge responsibility. But that notwithstanding, there are quite a couple who I believe can easily step up and do the job, and maybe even better, because then they'll have the benefit of somebody like me being there and telling, okay, you take this part, step here, don't step here. When you step here, you drop in a pit and stuff like that. So I think until a leader leaves, you would not know the qualities that the deputy leader has. So let's see how it rolls up. So far, I've had 2 people who wants to contest. At least one called me, and before he even declared to contest, that he wanted my blessing and then my support. I said, well, just like I said, he currently serves on the GOC board. Just like I said at the board meeting, any board member who decides to go for any position will have the support and blessing of the entire board. So he has my blessing. I was really touched, for him to show me that level of respect and call me before he even declared. That was quite touchy. So that's my category. So there are so many other people like that. So nominations haven't started yet. I'm not too sure what the process are, because I've completely lost track of what's happening. So I'm sure you find a few stepping up, and trust me, some of them can do much better than we have done, especially knowing how far the GOC has come.
That's interesting. And also, looking at the achievements under your belt, quite enormous. Most of the achievements from, the going to the various Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, and the medals we've been able to win and what have you. Are you worried that with the just ended Olympics, how we performed, and you leaving, are you worried that at the very last term of your office, if I should put it that way, you were not able to really haul in certain medals that you were expecting to have been able to achieve for the country?
Yeah, I was terribly disappointed at the last Olympics, especially when we couldn't get boxing to qualify, even though we spent so much investment in boxing so we could get them through the finish line. But that notwithstanding, I also believe that our track and field stars could rise up, when it matters most. Yes, they did their best, but it wasn't enough to put us on the podium. You see, getting to the Olympics and winning, or getting to the Olympics is another thing, and winning medals at the Olympics is another thing. If you look at the kind of investment we put in the boxing team before the Tokyo game, then you understand that, look, when you invest, you reap results, okay? So it wouldn't be about just me, but we as a people, the whole of Ghana, do we want to do sports and just show up at the Olympics, or we want to show up and be on the podium? If we want to show up and be on the podium, then we need to invest in our athletes. That is something that we're not doing adequately. Look, We only spend about 4 weeks training camp, and think that we can win a medal against a country or athletes who have spent close to 4 years preparing for the next Olympics. If we're serious about winning medals at the next Olympics, this is the time that we need to start investing in our athletes. We've been lucky; we have a lot of our track and field stars based in the US where the facilities are good. We should speak to them and find out a little bit of what they need. The boxers, I know all their problems. If you go and look at the kind of gyms that they train, it's nothing to write home about, and you'll be shocked we're producing world beaters from those gyms. If we can put a little bit of investment in the boxing, especially getting them facilities and proper gyms and rings where they can train, okay? And this is a sport that we have huge competitive advantage, not only in Africa, but the whole world. So you can say that about judo as well. So there are certain disciplines that naturally we have competitive edge over a lot of countries. If we can start investing in them now, we have about 3 years before the next Olympics. I wouldn't be surprised if we would once again be on the podium. But having said that, if we keep doing the same old things, the same old ways, we shouldn't expect to have
new results,
any different results than what we're getting. We just need to invest in the sports, and that's the only way we can get returns.
But then, talking about achievement, let's also note that for the first time in 30 years, under his tenure, Ghana was able, for the first time, to win a medal at the Olympics.
And for me, that would always be one of the highest.
For 30 years, no medal from the Olympics.
And I really shed a tear when I saw Samuel Techi up there with the IOC president during the closing ceremonies. And Samuel Techi was the only African boxer who won a medal. So when they were selecting people from the continents, the other continental body, it happened to fall on Samuel Techi, and he's from Ghana. So he represented not only Ghana, but the whole of Africa. And that was a very proud moment. One other thing that I think that our administration have done and we're very proud of is to have an Olympic identity in this country. The building that houses the GHOC office, used to be called the Liberation Towers, but we managed to lobby and get that name changed to Olympic House. So for me, that is also something that, as an outgoing president, I feel very proud about, because then we've established a permanent identity, Olympic identity in this country. Of course, Amasaman is coming up very well. Amasaman, until we came like 8 years ago, was a complete forest. We managed to get a few people who voluntarily contributed, and we got the whole forest cleared up. We also work with the Lands Commission to make sure that we're getting the land being properly given to the GHOC. And they did not only give us the 10 acres that had been walled by Honorable B.T. Baba. And I have a lot of respect for B.T. Baba. If he had not walled that land, I'm sure we'll not even have anything to talk about now. So in addition to that, the Land Commission also gave us an additional 6 acres, which can be used as maybe a car park and other things that we want to do at Amasama. If you go there now, currently, the legendary Mohamed Polo has his football academy based at Amasama. So what it means that at least we have a football field there, which, and then the schools around Amasama and environment, that's where they use for the inter-schools competition. So the course, the football academies are 2. One is being coached by Polo. There's another one by Coach Francis, or I can't remember his name very well. We have a tennis court there. We also have a multi-purpose court. The plan is to develop Amasama into a juvenile youth center. So what we also did at the GHOC is to see where we can make a little bit of savings, so that at the end of the second quadrennial, we would have saved enough money to be able to take Amasama through, even if we didn't get support from the IOC. And I can confidently say that we have done enough savings. Apart from the other financial support that we've been giving to the Federation, we didn't only spend all our money in just eating or buying food, but we saved some so we can do something for the future generation, or for the new athletes who are coming, and that is Amasaman. So with the kind of money that we have there, close to 600,000, 500,000, I believe that whoever takes over from me should use the money for the purpose for which you made that savings for, and that should be able to finish Amasaman.
That's interesting. But I want to find out something from Nana. the current sports and recreation minister, his also focus is on the least finance sports. I want to find out what the relationship has been like with the GOC and the Ministry for Sports all this while. And are we going to be seeing, and what's a blueprint that you've left to ensure that whoever comes will make sure that he follows that blueprint so that the relationship between the GOC and the Ministry for Sports and Recreation is very tight, so that we don't see the challenges that are still recurring, because you're going for events, you are not funded, there's no funding. Now we know almost a 95, thousand Ghana cedis or 95 million has been approved for the sports ministry.
Must be 65.
Okay, 65, sorry, not 90. I think I've gone beyond what was given anyway, 65. Would you think, that just what I want to find out, is there a blueprint that has been left for, there are two-fold questions. Is there a blueprint that has been left for the incoming president and the relationship between the GOC and the Ministry for Sports and Recreation? How good is it for him to also have a good term in office?
All right, okay. So if you're an Olympic movement, if you understand what Olympics means or what the IOC wants every National Olympic Committee to do, you don't really need a printed blueprint, okay? The Minister of Sports of every country has a responsibility to develop sports, maybe on behalf, let's say on behalf of the president of the country. The National Olympic Committee also has a responsibility to develop sports in Ghana on behalf of, say, the IOC president.
Okay.
So you see that the GOC and the ministry have a shared interest. We have a common interest to develop sports for Ghana. So it is very important that once you have a common interest, you work together. So you realize that I have worked closely with every minister, irrespective of whatever political party he or she comes from. Because my goal is to develop sports for the youth, you know, and then the minister's goal is also to develop sports on behalf of the president of the country. So if you're in GOC leadership and you would not want to cooperate with the minister, that would not be good. And the IOC would not even support such a posture or such an arrangement. I have had very good relationship with, you know, every minister from E.T. Mensah, Akwasana Danswa, Rashid Pepo, Obi Amwa, Safomas, yes, Yarega, Elvis, you know, and even lately, the immediate past minister, Honorable Yusuf, you know, very good relationship. I remember I did the same thing with Siama, you know, so we're able to produce results. The challenge that the ministry has is that they just don't have the funds. We have a high-profile sports or a high-profile team like the Black Stars. If you're giving the Ministry of Youth and Sports 24 million, which it was at that time, immediately the Black Stars play 2-3 matches at the beginning of the year, it wipes out all the money. So that is a challenge that the ministry have. What maybe we haven't done in the past is to think outside the box and see where we can create a constant or maybe a consistent revenue flow into the ministry's account or maybe the sports fund. And the only way, or some of the ways that we can do this is maybe have a sports lottery or put a little bit of tax on alcohol, and then maybe the cigarettes and even the betting companies, you know, so that there's a, just like we have the National Health Insurance Scheme, and then maybe the one for the schools, there's one that's the schools are able to access funding.
The Get Fund.
Yeah, you know, the kind of Get Fund thing. You know, so until we do that, and we want to depend on the benevolence of companies to fund our national teams, we will always find lacking. There's been times where most of the national teams had been adopted by one state institution or the other. Maybe we can go back to looking at that and say, look, GNPC, okay, so you handle the Black Stars, maybe your corporate social responsibility fund, use that. And then say, boss, look, take care of maybe table tennis. And then hockey, okay, Ghana guys, you can comfortably take care of the Ghana national hockey team. You know, so if we assign our national teams to corporate institutions or maybe parastatals, the burden on the sports ministry itself lessens, because then they know that they can raise funding for one particular national team or the other from one corporate or one parastatal or the other. So it's about time we start thinking outside the box and looking at other funding streams that we can use to support the development, especially of our national team. As for development of talent, it's easy. We have an institution like the National Sports Authority. In a time when we were in the secondary schools, we had a number of years that you stay in the boarding house, and the focus of identifying our sporting talents was from the intercore or from the secondary schools.
Yeah.
These days, it's no longer like that. You're only in the boarding house for just about maybe 2.5 years. Okay. When we changed our educational system, we didn't look at the repercussions it was going to have on our talent and education. What we should have done was now to focus a little bit more on primary school sports and then the junior high school sports and say, look, this is where we are going to identify our talent from. Of course, in the old system, when you discover your talent maybe around between 13 years old and 15 years old. Now with the new system, at that age, you're still in the junior high.
No,
so we should have focused to identify our talents there and then build them for the senior high school. And once they leave there and they're in the university, then GUSA games. And then, we've also had a situation where most of our national team athletes were employed by one state institution or the other. So the issue about a national athlete worrying about, when the next meal is going to come from was totally solved by the state. If we can now start going back and employ most of our national team athletes, at least it's going to give them a financial stability that they need. They don't have to worry about where they're going to get. And they are just being employed by the state to do sports for Ghana and not to go and sit in office and do clerical work. And some of these, we can also maybe even based on your performance at international level, we can start awarding, especially those in the universities, we can start awarding maybe, exactly, or marks which you can add to your GPA, which obviously helps you to graduate, But so we need to now start thinking outside the box and find ways that we can sustain the growth of our sports.
Now, talking about how to sustain and then looking forward to the growth of the sport, whoever succeeds you as the Ghana Olympic Committee president, what will be or is your expectation as it takes over?
Well, if we're supposed to be developing as a nation, I would expect that naturally the person should do better than I did. That is the only way we know that as a body or as an organization or as a country, we're progressing. But if you come in and you only match up to what your previous had done, and you don't get to that mark, that is not good. So I would expect nothing more than better GOC leadership than I did.
Now, you leave in office now. What should Ghanaians, Africa, the world look up to? What's the next thing for Nana Ben Nunoo Mensah? I don't want to mention all those titles before I make a mistake and then I'm fine or something. So let me add the Nana.
We're still praying over it. There are a lot of things that has come up. I'm not going to be out of sports completely or entirely, but I would be doing a few things that I've always felt was a calling, and I haven't had much time to focus or devote a lot of my extra time or my extra resources to. I think that I want to be doing a bit more on that, but as and when I start or when these things come up, I'm sure, I may not be in a sport, but Monica, we're still very great friends. I mean, for Joel, we go way back, and not only in sports, we're very close. So you will definitely know the kind of things that I'm doing outside the sports.
For 8 years you've been in office, let me ask you, you've done a lot, we all know. But what would be that one thing or two things that you wish you had done or was never able to do?
I'm the type that even when I go through a bad situation, I always say that God have a reason why A or B happened. So as long as I have life and I'm seeing the glory of God leading me, I don't want to go back and say I would have changed this because God had a reason why it didn't work out. But if you ask me a few of the things that maybe I would have wished, we had done it better. Yes, then we can say, oh, maybe, I had subcommittees. Quite a number of them were not as active as I would have wished they were. I would have wished that I'd had, more support or cooperation from a few national federations or a few people who had worked with it, people who had taken up or people who had taken up certain leadership to deliver certain things for the GOC. I had seen more results from them rather than everything falling back on one person. But like I said, sometimes some of these things happen. It strengthens you, and then you say, look, I have to deliver. I have a mandate of the people to deliver. So it kind of challenges you, and you want to go out there and do what you've promised the people you do. So I wouldn't want to change much because, for it happened for a good reason, and we'll take a day at a time. Yeah.
Okay.
What we also would have done, even though what we did was quite unprecedented, is to have been able to build more human capacity for our sports administrators. Until we came to the GOC, chef de missions and had to do one person or the other. But if you look at what we have done in the last 8 years, for every game, there's a different set of sports administrators who are going, maybe the chef de mission, the general team manager, even the media.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this is quite unprecedented, allowing so many media people to have feel of what international games. And that has always been I've been very close to the media. The Joel and I were talking about South Africa, way back. Joel, Canada Day, Nat, Michael Insian, we really lifted. It was these guys who helped me to lift cricket up. So the media always has a huge responsibility or huge task as to how our sports is directed, because you guys put out the news there. You give out the narrative, and for me, I've had so much big support from the media, the sports media in Ghana, and I always say that it wouldn't have been the kind of results that we had. It wouldn't have been so if I hadn't had the support of the media, and that's why I always have a lot of respect for you, ladies and guys who are doing media, and I thank you all very much, especially those that go way back with me. And surprisingly, they've all stuck with me till now. Joel, Canada Day, Nat Ato, Michael Insian, Okule. These are guys that I started with, and up to now, they're still with me. And I'm so grateful to them. As I bow out, I just want them to know that I appreciate what they really did for me. They made all the difference. And may God continue to bless them.
Sure. So
we, the media, are also grateful that you acknowledge our efforts as well.
Remember, before Tokyo, Mensah was the one who personally guided Samuel Techi. People don't know this. He personally guided Samuel Techi to have gotten to where he did. So we need to say thank you to you also. Ghanaians who are watching, maybe you have a message to Ghanaians who are watching you. So you watch into your camera. Then you just give your message to Ghanaians.
I'm buying out, but it doesn't mean I'm leaving the sports completely. I would still be in the background and give whatever support I can give, both to the GOC, to the ministry, and to entire Ghana sports. I must say that I'm very grateful to all the nice people that came my way, all the people who shared a prayer for me, people who had me at heart, and would one way or the other would come up to me and give me advice and one thing or the other, especially the media guys that I started with, and then the senior media people, Car24, the writer, writer and I go way back to our youthful days when he had Jerry Kell.
If you want him to grow the hair, he will grow the hair.
I know. So because we all went looking for sisters, chasing women from the same household, and John Viga. These are people that have been there. Maxwell Asabri. We go way back to 1992, myself and Maxwell Asabri. And so many other Ghanaians, especially those who are always praying for me, because being a GOC president is a very difficult job.
And for 8 years.
And it comes with its own challenges. pitfalls and PhDs and stuff like that. But I think the grace of God has sustained me because there were so many people always praying good things into my life, and I'm very grateful. As I leave, I would have very fond memories of my wonderful time in Ghana sports, and I thank every Ghanaian and everybody, especially those in sports. I had a wonderful board, and I think they supported me so much. The federation heads, the various federation presidents. It's an amazing journey, and I think that we did it, and we did it well together.
Right.
All right. So, yeah, on this emotional note, we want to draw down the curtains to the show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We hear you're an ABSU too, so...
Yeah. I went to a college.
Okay.
I was in a college.
They said they didn't go to school, so they went to college.
I went to
they are the only people who went to a college.
The college,
Those of you who went
college
to
like a
schools for your
university.
information.
Yeah, exactly.
College is like a university.
I mean, school is, Patakraba LA is a school, Bakano Primary is a school.
They'll be offended.
So
for St. Augustine's, it's a college.
Adisabel is a college. We accept that.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time. We'll make time and bring you back again. Yes, we'll bring you back again into the studio.
Yes.
This one, you're doing your media thing, and so we'll make sure we'll bring you back into the studio. We have a citation for you. We'll do a I don't need to let the cat out of the bag. Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll bring him back proper to celebrate him with quite a number of, time, enough time for us all to celebrate him, to show you videos of his achievements and all that. So, yeah, thank you so much for your time.